All right, everybody. Hey, how you doing? Welcome back to Trash Panda. That's me, Baden Jones. Talks wrestling with Lloyd Legacy Sharp. It's right over there.
Hi.
We're back. It's been so long.
What happened?
You know,
A lot.
happened. We could get into all that. Had to move. The world is still in crisis, which is why we're not in person yet still, but we'll get there.
We'll get there eventually.
Now,
I'm sure there are plenty of conspiracies that can be had about all this.
Oh, they're coming. Those are coming, believe me. They're coming. But that is not why we are here. We are here to talk the best and worst of WWE Extreme Rules.
Just like old times.
Just like times.
God. Okay, so for those of you who are new to the party, first of all, hi, how you doing? Second of all, Trash Panda Talks Wrestling was a show that came up in the middle of the world being where it kind of is now without being stuck inside. And he is a person that is able to watch wrestling like I can and do when it's convenient, but he watches it all and he can be critical, but also find a way to enjoy everything he sees to some degree. And he had a wrestling podcast where we reviewed shows. And in order to balance things out, he needed a jaded wrestling fan who can't get over the 80s and 90s. And that's where I came in, and here we are.
Oh, I got my cats sneaking in. That's also something that happened. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm a big AEW nerd.
As you should be.
See, there goes my cat right there. That's Darby.
The lingo.
And here's the other one. We got Jericho. I'm a champion.
You just made the list.
Oh, he's got a long list. But yeah, I watch pretty much all the wrestling that comes on, and I love it for what it is, not what it used to be. Although we can't say I don't miss some of the old stuff, but you guys are really gonna get on my nerves. Got to toss Jericho out of the ring sometimes. But we just enjoy it, and sometimes there are not enjoyable things in the show, and I feel like that needs to be addressed sometimes.
And it comes together in this best and worst segment where we contrast our views on what was good and what wasn't. And usually we agree, but sometimes it's like, man, that wasn't good. Man, yes, it was. Man, well, it wasn't good in the way you think it was. Man, oh yeah, well, you're not good either. Actually, you are. That's why I'm on a show with you. Man.
Sometimes we argue about whether Raw is better than SmackDown, which is hot topic.
Which is interchangeable depending on the year.
Or the week.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the day.
Yeah.
Well,
but today we're going to talk about Extreme Rules, or as Simon Miller called it, not so extreme rules.
It was, that's a very good point, because it really wasn't extreme.
Wasn't bad. I'm just saying.
It was not bad.
I've seen John Cena and Eddie Guerrero in one hardcore match in the parking lot that was more extreme than anything that happened last night. Which, given what we know about CTE these days and Eddie Guerrero not being here anymore, probably for the best, but still.
I mean, I hate to be biased, but I see more extreme matches on AEW on a weekly basis.
Oh yeah. That's what. By the way, let me just get this out of the way. AEW is the best thing on television when it comes to wrestling.
Facts.
Just. I'm not a WWE guy. I'm not an AEW guy. I'm a give me wrestling that doesn't suck guy. And when it comes to that, nobody's doing that better than AEW. Just a fact. You don't have to like it. I don't have to like it. He likes it as he should. It's just a fact.
I do. I love it. Even the fans it seems are better in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I am actually going to go to a taping of Raw in November in Providence.
Nice.
I'm debating whether or not to do my Orange Cassidy while I go to a WWE show. I think it'd be fun, but also they might kick me out.
That would be a pretty awesome troll.
But yeah, our seats are on the entrance ramp, so that would
you would definitely be seen. You would be seen, exactly. Quick side note before we actually start the show. I went to a couple of Raws in 2005, and one of them, I was in a Red Sox jersey and somebody else was in a Yankees jersey, and we were having a little bit of a side feud for the rest of the night, for that entire night. So if they don't kick you out, I'm pretty sure you could do that even better with anybody around you at that point.
Either way, it's going to be a good time.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Neither here nor there. We're here for Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do we want to flip a coin, best or worst?
You go first. You go first. You take it. It's your house, your yard.
I want to get into the worst. And for people who have not seen this before, spoilers all over the place if you haven't seen it yet. But that's why we're here to tell you about it, so if you don't have to watch it.
Yeah.
The worst. There's a couple of dishonorable mentions. Dishonorable mention number one, Bobby Lashley. You still don't know how to do promos. I'm sorry. I'm not convinced that you're as bad as you think you are, but you do you. I mean, you're still a giant man, and I wouldn't want to run into you on the street, but you just don't do a convincing promo for me. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Stop it. This is why he needs MVP, because he needs somebody to speak for him, much in the way of like a Paul Heyman situation.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me 1 second. I gotta deal with Jericho real quick.
All right. So while he's dealing with Jericho, I would like to give a little bit of a sub honorable mention, because I'm not going to get into my worst until he finalizes his point. So my sub honorable mention goes to, he's back. You'll find out in a minute.
Well, you can give a sub honorable mention. Go ahead.
My sub honorable mention for worst of the night goes to the Peacock streaming service, who started out the pay-per-view and, from what I understand, the entire pre-show, giving me a lesson in multilingualism that I did not tune into the pay-per-view to receive.
Luckily, I watched the show after, so they fixed it on the replay, but I did hear a lot about this.
Yeah, I never go on Twitter to complain about wrestling, because I feel like I'm upset enough about wrestling as it is. I don't need to let the world know about it. I went on Twitter to complain about this shit, and apparently 55,000 people agree.
Wow. That is quite a following.
Well, to be fair, they didn't all agree with me, but there were 55,000 people tweeting about it at the same time I was. So we all were united. Yeah, I have not gone viral on Twitter yet, and for my safety, I hope I never do.
For your own safety. Yeah. One day you probably will, just knowing
probably.
knowing you. But that being said, the worst of the night, unfortunately, came at the end of probably one of the best matches, the main event. I'm sorry.
Oh, God.
The match itself, it was very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
Until the end. I am angry. Not that Finn lost. I'm not angry that Finn lost. I think that was a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. We knew he was going to lose. We knew that.
Based on the booking that they've already announced, I think that was a foregone conclusion. Yeah. But it's disrespectful to the wrestlers in the industry who have actually been injured in these situations, you can't fake a botch. And having the rope fall apart or snap or whatever they want to call it, they never even explained it. Oh, hey, Jericho. Hey, you going for the belt? No. Okay. No, you can't disrespect your talent by faking such a huge botch. It's one thing to set up the ring to fall apart when you got a couple of big guys. That's good entertainment. That's not a thing that happens very often in reality.
It did wonders for Bret Hart WrestleMania 10. I'll say that.
Fair enough.
but that's a rare case. It's a rare case.
Yeah, very rare case. I mean,
even then, it didn't break. Yokozuna just fell, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, it's infuriating. That's all I really want to say is that it's absolutely infuriating, which makes it entirely the worst thing of the show. Of all the pay-per-views this year, I hated the ending of this one the most. And that says a lot.
Well, I agree on the finish for the reason you said, but also if I take the respect for the business and the history out of it, it's just not believable. And you make the Fiend look like sorry, not the Fiend, the Demon. I mean, it reminded me of the Fiend. I got Hell in a Cell 2019 flashbacks all night during that thing. But you make Demon look like a total chode. You don't even have the decency to have the Usos revive themselves and be the ones to undo the rope in all the smoke and let that be the reason why, or Paul Heyman undoing the rope and let that be the reason why. No, the rope just breaks. Like Sheamus was on the top rope doing the Jeff Hardy taunt earlier, which was hilarious, by the way. Sheamus is very underrated, but he was up there. He has to weigh 2 times what the Demon does. Rope didn't break under him, but the rope just breaks on its own. Again, no heels, undoing the shit in the smoke. Where that could have been a reason why the rope broke. I don't know why they didn't do that. People have done that before. But no, Sheamus is up there doing this, and the rope stays fine. The Demon just stands there, and suspension of disbelief is one thing. Suspension of physics and logic. Which brings me to my worst of the night. About 90% of the match finishes because the wrestling was great. There was not a bad match on the card. But aside from the tag team title match and the opening match, pretty much all of the either endings or post-match happenings were terrible. The United States champion retained his title on a roll-up.
The most devastating move in all the sports
entertainment. He's the United States champion. He didn't. Moving on. Charlotte and Alexa Bliss. Better match than I thought it would be. It was actually pretty good. The post-match annihilation of Lily, aside from the fact that the crowd was chanting "Thank you, Lily," that was actually pretty funny, and I appreciate that. But Charlotte's annihilation of Lily was one thing. Heel being fine, that's fine. But Alexa Bliss's post-match breakdown went on far too long, and it was way too drawn out. And the sympathy I felt when she was in the ring left before she got out of the ring. And I don't hate this Alexa Bliss character like a lot of internet smarts do. A lot of people, Alexa Bliss, she just got that. Whatever. She's talented and she's showing it. But this was just, it was on and on and on and on and on. I've seen, rest in peace, Daphne have better post-match freakouts than this Alexa Bliss character. It was just too much. The women's championship match, great match, surprise return. Don't you kind of gum up the works when you bring back Sasha Banks. top heel against taking out Becky Lynch. Top heel, Bianca Belair, kind of fallen to the wayside ever since she stopped feuding with Bayley. Shit feud with Carmella didn't do anything for her. Lost. The match was great. The aftermath just answered more questions than it left more questions than it answered. And then the finish, the main event, we've already been over it. The match finishes and aftermath of the match finishes were just the worst thing about Extreme Rules.
I gotta disagree with you a little bit on. I mean, there were some terrible endings. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it wasn't, but Sasha Banks coming back and then just wrecking everyone. It's not what I wanted, but it is what I needed. Because that one, Sasha, where you been? Nice to have you back. And two, it just builds Sasha into the almost like the badass that she was always really supposed to be, even if it is kind of a heel. She'll be a babyface heel because everybody loves her. But it almost in a way it's like a female Roman Reigns. She's wreck everyone and leave. Like I appreciate that. I'm gonna
say the same thing for the Sasha Banks return that I said when the Fiend stuck his fingers down Alexa Bliss's throat. I didn't have a problem with it as it was happening, but I fear that WWE is not going to know how to follow up on it without convoluting it and fucking it up. Now, I was pleasantly wrong about what in the aftermath of Alexa Bliss. That actually led to the character she is today, and it hasn't been terrible. As terrible as I thought it was going to be when I saw her do that. But, and I actually defended that decision. I'm like, you know what, this is intriguing. This could go somewhere. That's the same thing I feel about Sasha Banks coming back. It could go somewhere. It could be great. Do I think that WWE is going to follow it up with succinct booking, even on SmackDown? I don't know. And if they do, then it was great because the moment itself was great. Sasha took out the challenger. Sasha took out the champion. I love that. I fear what's going to come next. But on its own, I agree with you. It was great.
As long as it doesn't bury Bianca in the end.
That's exactly what I'm worried about.
I'm cool with it as long as that's not what happened. But we know Vince McMahon and how much he loves to bury top talent. So leave that with that.
Yep, a great visual sometimes makes for the only good part of the story.
All right, now here is where I want you to do a quick bipolar switch into happy mode and give us your honorable mentions of the best. Because it overall, like we said, the matches were great. Mm-hmm. I'll give a first honorable mention right here. Charlotte and Alexa Bliss put on a masterclass of women's wrestling. Like technical ability, it was just both Charlotte and Alexa just showcased everything and every reason why they are both so great.
I agree.
Masterclass.
I agree. I have 2 honorable mentions. 3, actually, for the best. The crowd chanting "Thank you, Lily." Me and my father just ate that up like long after the pay-per-view was over. That's the best chant that I've heard that wasn't overdone in a long time. I hope it's going to be overdone now that we mention it, but it was good. It was good last night. Second honorable mention for the best, Pat McAfee. Just Pat McAfee all the time. Pat McAfee.
I've said it before. I'll say it again. Pat McAfee is the best thing to happen to WWE in at least the last 5 years. Yeah. He's more. Yeah. He's a fan, but also just his energy. I watch his podcast on a daily basis. He's like that all the time. It's not a gimmick that he puts on for wrestling. That's just who he is, and I welcome it. I welcome it.
I would say he's one of the best things in the past 5 years. Definitely the best thing that happened to commentary in the last 5 years. Like the commentary has not been. I mean, to me, I devise myself when I say this, but when it comes to just something that made me want to watch and not lose my interest 3 weeks later, the best thing that happened to WWE in the last 5 years is Roman Reigns becoming a tribal chief. Not because it's the best thing that's ever happened to WWE, but because it's the first storyline in WWE that's kept my attention for more than 3 weeks. And given how anti-current day wrestling I am, that means something to me. So just for me, Kobe Mania was great until it ended, and then I wasn't interested. The Yes Movement was great until they buried it, and then I wasn't interested. The rise of Chad Gable was great until it was Shorty G, and then I wasn't interested. Shane McMahon's return was great until he was too annoying, and then I wasn't interested. Daniel Bryan's return was great, and even his championship reign as a heel was great until that was over, but that led to Kobe Mania, and then they squashed that, and I wasn't interested. Roman Reigns becoming the tribal chief, and his cousin and all that, and the story with Drew McIntyre and all that, and how he intertwined with Edge and all that, and all of that, it circles back to Roman Reigns. His turn led to the first thing that's kept my attention on wrestling since 2014 for more than a month. And just for me, that's just me. But
and first, I got to stop you right there because you put some respect on Shorty G. I love that gimmick and I miss it. I hate what he's doing now. It kind of makes sense what he's doing now. But I love Shorty G. You will not disrespect.
I'm not disrespecting Shorty G. I'm disrespecting the way WWE used Shorty G and used it to bury him.
Okay, that's fair.
Because it was when he became Shorty G that he started jobbing out to Baron Corbin instead of beating him like he was when he was Chad Gable. It's not his fault. Booking. And that's SmackDown I'm shitting on, so trust me, I get it.
We do have a history of shitting on SmackDown, so.
Yeah, but my first honorable mention, Montez Ford. Just he not only did he get in the ring and steal the show, he told a story through when he hit that frog splash and did almost a better version of the old RVD cell where he's holding his ribs and he can't cover them just yet, and then he rolls over and I thought the Usos, I thought the bloodline was gonna. I bought it. I bought the near fall when he hit that frog splash and he was holding his ribs, and that was after he already did that freaking kamikaze dive earlier, and then he did Montez Ford has got a bright. If they split him and Dawkins up, Dawkins is in trouble because Montez Ford, that kid's got a future.
One of my notes from last night also was Dawkins people need to respect Dawkins a little bit more. He's got talent. He's very underrated. But out of that pair, Montez is clearly the bigger talent, in my opinion. He's just his ability to do what he does. Always charismatic and engaging. Always puts on a hell of a show.
Oh, yeah.
He has one of the top 3 frog splashes I've ever seen. Uh-oh. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, while he's taking care of those technical difficulties, I will agree. See, I don't disrespect Dawkins, but if they ever split that team up, who do all of you think the WWE is going to choose to push to the moon and slide down the card because he's not Montez Ford? In a perfect world, Montez Ford would get the big single push and Dawkins would be okay. You know, he'd be fine in his own role on a singles level in a perfect world. But in a WWE's world, as much as I hate to see it, I fear that if they split up, Ford is going to become the Michaels, Dawkins is going to become worse than Jannetty. Dawkins is going to become the other half of Heavy Machinery that's no longer on. He's going to become the Tucker. That's what I'm afraid of. So not saying don't split them up because Dawkins doesn't deserve it, but I'm not booking WWE, and that's why I fear Dawkins if he loses Montez Ford. Because WWE doesn't see any money in Dawkins, even if there's money there, and they're just not looking at it.
Yeah, sorry for that technical difficulty. My cats
No,
are
that's fine. I figured that would fill the space.
my cats are assholes, and I appreciate that. Darby's just jumping off roofs like Darby does. So
Yeah.
um,
He's living a gimmick.
but yes, I agree with everything you said about Montez Ford. I want to real quick do another honorable mention. Darby, I swear to God, no, you can't have the belt. Another honorable mention in the tag team area, just reuniting New Day. Just, it was kind of a surprise because I didn't know that match was going to happen, and I felt like, in the grand scheme of things, that match probably very unnecessary. But I was happy to have it once it was happening, and just you can't. New Day rocks. New Day rocks. I mean,
my only complaint about that is, one, if you're gonna have the WWE champion in the opening match teaming up with the New Day, and it's the New Day, maybe give it a little bit more hype going in. But other than that, I have no complaints. If anything, I don't think they got the treatment it deserved, but I wasn't complaining about seeing them together. But if I had the New Day opening up the show, I'd give it a little bit more. Hey, the New Day are gonna be, hey, promote. You should know this. But here.
Yeah, again, there's my only real problem I had with it as well was just didn't know it was gonna happen.
And the WWE champion and his partners, who together make the New Day one of the most popular factions of the modern era, you should put some more behind. Nitpicking. It was good to see.
And going back to my dishonorable mention from earlier, Bobby Lashley. Sorry, you were the worst part of that match. Go home. It just was. It was.
Yeah.
I said what I said.
No, I agree. Much like Christian Cage, Bobby Lashley did a lot better when he was in TNA. But and even now, even current Christian is doing better in TNA than that's besides the point. My best of the night is all the wrestling. Just all the wrestling. There was not a bad, unwatchable match on the card. This is the problem with modern wrestling. As weird as it is to say that, the in-ring action is in WWE is just it's great. It's great. The wrestling, when you don't have to hear certain people talk and you don't have to figure out why the hell certain things are happening, when the best explanation you can find for why something happens is the wizard in the sky, if you know, you know. When you get past all that and just focus on the wrestling, WWE has been great for the past 10 years, almost indisputably. The wrestling is always good. There's always at least 50% of the card, 200%. There's always great wrestling. It's just the other stuff. Notice none of our worst has had anything to do with the action in the ring. Because when it comes to in the ring, it was great. I didn't need tables. I didn't need tables as much as the crowd did, apparently. I didn't need tables. I didn't need chairs. I didn't need ladders. I didn't even need that freaking that baseball bat freaking lighter freaking pack, whatever the fuck Demon brought out. The wrestling was fantastic. Even the pre-show, Carmella versus Liv, not bad. The wrestling, the best. The wrestling, everything about this show that I can say wrong about it. When they got in the ropes, they did it right. And at the end of the day, that's what wrestling's all about. Wrestling. The stuff around the wrestling makes it more interesting. I may not care about how half of these matches happen, but once they got in the ring, I enjoyed it.
I gotta say, my best for Extreme Rules kind of falls in line with what you're saying, and I think you'll appreciate this, especially from a guy like me. The ladies, the ladies had the best matches. And now we can disagree about the way they ended, like we do. Yeah. But from top to bottom, nobody outperformed any of the women's matches. I don't care which match you want to point to. You can point to Roman Reigns and the Fiend, New Day, and the whole the United States Championship match was really great. Mm-hmm. I didn't hate the ending of that as much as you did. I really love.
I didn't hate it. I just think that he deserved to get a stronger victory. But
I mean, I'll agree with that.
But I saw worse. I saw worse endings on this show.
I mean, if nothing else, I enjoyed the respect between Damian and Hardy there at the end. But
that was a good aftermath. I like that. But nobody outworked the women. You're right. Nobody outworked the women, which has been the case.
Nobody outworked the ladies.
Which has been the case for quite a few years now. The women have been outworking the men pretty much since the NXT takeover days.
And I mean, you're not wrong. You are not wrong. But I can't say that every match, every show, that's necessarily the case just because of the way things get set up sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case specifically, the ladies outshined everything. I was captivated by every moment of every match. Just well done. Well done. Respect to the ladies.
Yeah, that was Extreme Rules in a not so nutshell, because I tend to go off a little bit.
If you're talking like a walnut shell, like a very big walnut shell.
Exactly.
But
and trust me, for those who are new to the show, I've definitely been a lot angrier than I have been today. So it was pretty good.
I've seen Lloyd angry, and this is calm. Because you kind of you relaxed a little bit more. I'm not relaxed. I'm about to kill these cats. Look,
let's just be glad that none of these matches were billed going in as the best wrestling match ever.
I'm still not over it. Why?
Because it sold T-shirts, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know that it did.
They thought it would. They were wrong.
Whoever bought those T-shirts is a moron.
Yeah. There was a prototype for them. They sold them for like a week and they didn't move. And then they took them off the shelves like 2 weeks later.
There are kids in Africa wearing greatest wrestling match of all time shirts.
And you know what? If you're gonna lie, at least clothe children in Africa while you're doing it.
Yeah, that way they can at least write it off.
Exactly. It's a silver lining that should be better, but silver lining.
Sad but true.
Yeah.
But that is it. That was Extreme Rules. And you got anything you want to add before we get out of here? Tell the people what you're doing, where you're going. You're one of the busiest men working in Boston, at least right
now. Yeah, I've been very fortunate. Well, in a little under an hour, I am going to be participating alongside this guy over here in Nick Martucci's Inappropriate Movie Database online trivia show, which you can find on Nick Martucci's YouTube. And I've shared the link on my Twitter and Facebook, at Lloyd Legacy 617 on Twitter and Instagram, Lloyd Legacy Sharp on Facebook. If you go there, if you don't, I don't blame you. 2020 made it really come out for how horrible it can be. And in real life, I am going to be this weekend twice, 2 nights in a row. I will be at the Charlie's Tap House in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire, doing a double shot of Michael Legacy Jackson work on October 1st and October 2nd, because it's the 4-year anniversary of Michael Legacy Jackson, and I'm kind of contractually obligated to be there in some capacity. October 9th, I will be at the Backyard Brewery in Manchester, New Hampshire. And I'll plug one more. Follow me at the Legacy Tour update page on Facebook for the rest of it, because I'm not going to put it all here. There's time to consider. But I will also be at the Craft Brew Underground on October 23rd in Auburn, Maine, for the first time ever. And you can find more information on that on my Facebook as well.
Yeah, like you said, he has a lot more than that going on. He just fitting in what he can for the time that we have. Like he said, I will also be on the Nick Martucci show. This episode will probably come out after that, but that doesn't mean you can't go watch it.
Yeah, exactly. If you're finding out about this after it happened and you missed it, go back and watch it.
Go on back. It's a good time. I'm defending my house's honor since my fiance has won the show twice, and this is my first time on. So I'm coming for you, Lloyd. Coming for you.
And I am continuing the current narrative that recent guest Josh Poirier started. He held it. I started it. I placed my best part on that show by not answering a single question. And people are still talking about it 2 weeks later. So I'm not saying it was effective, but I didn't do the worst, and people are still talking about it. So it had impact.
And aside from that, we'll do some more. I think a mariachi band just pulled up outside my house.
This is how they play you off on Zoom, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if this show is going to be a reoccurring thing. It was going to come back. We'll discuss that afterwards. But at least for tonight, this has been Trash Panda Talks Wrestling with me, jaded wrestling fan, Lloyd Legacy Sharp, and the head of the table, Vaden Jones.
AKA the Trash Panda. And hopefully we'll be doing this a little bit more in the future, at least for pay-per-views. I don't know that we have the time to actually take notes for every wrestling show, but hopefully for pay-per-view, we can keep this up.
Hopefully. And maybe every now and then pick some episode of Raw or AEW or SmackDown that just seems really good and just be like, we should look at it.
Hey, if we got to talk about it, we got to talk about it. But what we got to do now is get out of here. So until next time, guys.